more questions?
Yes, I want to ask, do you think the vote is safe? And in answering that, I'd like for you to comment on what happened in the 2000 election, the 2004 election, and what do you think is going to happen in the 2008 election?
Actually, I think the gentleman who didn't have a chance to talk about elections before should start.
Well, I don't think the vote is safe, and I think the Republicans are going to steal another election in 2008 unless we do something to ensure that every American votes on a paper ballot and that there's audit procedures in place so that a certain percentage of those paper ballots are compared to the machine tallies. And if we have to count every ballot in this country by hand, then that's what we should do. Because as a Green who gets blamed for Ralph Nader stealing the 2000 election, I get very, very angry. The reason Ralph Nader's blamed for that is because the Democratic Party chose to spin it that way instead of fighting for their properly won election. So I founded a group in Santa Fe that works on election reform, including ranked choice voting, proportional representation, which if we have more time, I'll talk more about later. But I was David Cobb's representative in New Mexico for the recount that never happened, that we won a year and a half later in the Supreme Court, and they said, gee, they should have let you have that recount that you paid for in advance, like the law says, but they didn't, and they cleared the machines. And I'd like to see Bill Richardson and Rebecca DeHill-Larone and former Supreme Court Justice Petra Mays in jail right now. That's where they belong. That is fraud, that is corruption, that is abuse of public office. And going back and complaining about these people is too late now. I'm looking forward. At least in New Mexico, we have paper ballots. Our audit procedure could be better, and we're working on that in the next legislation. But I would like to see, unless something happens nationally, I don't know what's going to happen. So, no, I don't think our vote is safe.
I'd like to say that this is, if I had three top issues on my campaign, one is healthcare, universal single-payer healthcare. The other one is we've got to get out of Iraq now. We've got to get out of Iraq yesterday, actually. And the third one is election security. I have been in contact with Brad Friedman of BradBlog.com. If you're aware of who he is, he's one of the biggest fighters for election security nationally. Mark Crispin Miller is a professor at New York University. I've talked with him a number of times, and I've let them know I'm running, and they're actually both have told me that they would support me in any way they could. We're talking about people who are fighting for election security. These are the guys. No, I've got a software engineer, very close friends, software engineers, computer programmers. Not a single one of them says that electronic machines are safe. And if we continue this policy of allowing partisan corporations to run both our touchscreen voting, the DREs, and the electronic tabulators. I mean, you can have paper ballots, but if they're not counted accurately, if they're not counted by hand under bipartisan scrutiny, it doesn't mean anything. And I've always said that, if in 2000 I believed that George Bush was elected fair and square, then I would accept him as my president. I've never accepted George Bush as my president because I don't think he was elected fairly in 2000, and I know he wasn't elected fairly in 2004. I've been in contact with Bob Petrakis, who is a Columbus law professor in Columbus, Ohio, and he has the website freepress.org. No, org splits it off into net and com. His is actually .com, freepress.com. And so he was one of 4 people in the entire state of Ohio, or actually nationally, who challenged the Ohio vote. And he's got a book that's 800 pages thick that are it's testimonials from poll workers that people with badges who looked official came in, they removed hard drives from voting machines, came back 15 minutes later, put a new hard drive in, said, oh, we just needed to check that things were going okay. I mean, none of this stuff was ever checked on. And I would say we've even, here in New Mexico, with the election from 2006, the Wilson versus Madrid race. There is strong evidence that there was malfeasance in that race also, but the Madrid campaign did not get the information in a timely fashion and in an organized fashion so that they could challenge the vote. So, yeah, our election security is, if we don't have clean and fair elections, we've got nothing. Because our voice counts for nothing if we don't have that. And I will write legislation that bans electronic voting machines. These are partisan companies. Wally O'Dell, who was the CEO of Diebold, who ran, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 50% of the voting machines in the country, said, we will be happy to deliver, this was a direct quote, we will be happy to deliver our Ohio's votes to President George Bush. And that's a direct quote. We cannot have these people running our elections. We've sold out our democracy to partisan voting machine companies. So that's my stand, and I would not waver on that for an instant.
I just want to say in the 2nd Congressional District, we have several teams working to try to guarantee the vote in those counties. And my hope is at this point they'll be more effective. We are aware that in the last 2 elections, Republicans have intimidated and distorted at the last minute, and we hope this time we will be able to counteract that. Secondly, I never mentioned, I've got a pink sheet back there that's a survey about issues. I hope as many of you as were willing will fill out one of those, because we're doing a survey not only just in the 2nd District, but across the country, and your input would be helpful to me. And there's a brochure there that tells a little bit about me.